All right, is this the most anticipated fragrance of the year, perhaps the decade? Dior Homme Parfum 2024, or is it 2025? It launched in 2024. A lot of people already had it, and I wasn't aware it was already on the Dior website. I don't sit around waiting for fragrances to appear. I was told it doesn't land until the middle of January, but a lot of people said, when are you going to do your review? It's out on Dior's website. So guess what? I ordered it. And I've got it here. I haven't opened it up yet. So from the consensus with the comments and the messages I've received, it's not as good as the previous versions. So I'm going to have to let you know what I think about it. But the first time I discovered Dior Homme Parfum was in 2014 with the original in 75 ml. And then, of course, they redid it in a 100 ml bottle in 2020. So this is now the third version, the third edition of Dior Homme Parfum in 2024 or 2025. It comes in two sizes. I'm going to let you know all about it coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian. You guys already know me if you're following this channel. Dior Homme Parfum is my favorite fragrance. Hands down, my favorite fragrance next to all the niche fragrances and all the designer fragrances. Absolutely love it. But I feel like the original was a masterpiece, and even the new 2020, I shouldn't say new anymore because the new one's in the box, the 2024, 2025. Both of the 2020 and the 2014 versions were great. I loved them. I absolutely loved them. I thought they were great. And some people, or actually not some, a lot of people said the 2020 is totally different than the 2014. But a lot of also folks said that the formula is the same. It shouldn't be different. So maybe the fragrance in the original version in 2014 had concentrated, had macerated and matured, and it was smelling different than the 2020. I don't know. I felt like it was very close, not identical, little thinner than the original. I felt the original was a lot thicker, but a lot more beefier. But again, going back to the new version, a lot of people are saying it's different, and I'm dying to get my nose on this. It's a 2024, 2025 launch created by Francis Kurkdjian. So he basically took the original DNA that was done by Francois Demachet. This is the 2014 bottle. I have a little bit left in here. I should grab a full bottle. And this is the 2020 version that also Francois Demachet redid for Dior. He left, I think, a year after the 2020 edition came out. And now we've got the 2024 version, and it comes in two sizes. This is the first time it comes in two sizes. There's a lot of firsts for this also. It's the first time it's getting an official release in the States. The original in 2014 in 75 ml and the 2020 never got a launch here in the States. So now we have a launch in the States. Comes in a 50 ml for $160, 75 ml for $180. I remember the very original Dior Homme Parfum, the 2014 edition, I could find for around 99 euros, not even $99 at various places. So it was fairly inexpensive, but also it came out 10 years ago. And going back to Paris and buying Dior Homme Parfum in the 2020 version, starting in 2022, I could find it at various stores for $139. But the 2020 version was always kept under the shelves. It was kept in a drawer. It wasn't ever out, and so you'd have to ask for it. It was almost like a porn stash or something. So very limited quantities, and now we've got an official launch. It's the first time, as I said, and that's why a lot of you have been asking me, sending me messages, when the hell are you going to review this? I've been waiting for my bottle. I finally have it, and here it is. Let's open it up for you guys. But a little bit more information. The concentration, I think, is Parfum. It should be. It's called Dior Homme Parfum. I hope it's not, like, there's no changes with the concentration with this. It's considered a woody amber floral fragrance as well. They sure make this really difficult to open up. The place where you're supposed to tear is taped up, so really you couldn't. And here it is, nicely packed, as they always do. Beautifully packed. Dior does a great job with their packing. There's a card inside, and it's, of course, the receipt. There is no return attached, and I think they usually send a return slip, like places like Dior even. I don't see one here. but they usually include a prepaid slip. So if you're not interested in it, you got a sample rather than opening up the original, you can send it back. But I don't have one here, so I don't know. I'm not going to return this anyway, but I hate to open this up, but let's go ahead and do it. We need to smell this thing. I need to get my nose on it. Yeah, the packing is always really great with Dior. They do a great job. And even though a lot of people are complaining about Dior and where they've kind of been going with their fragrances and Francis Kurkdjian's creations there, I think as far as presentation goes, they do a great job. And I don't know, is it always about presentation or is it more about the actual smell? For me, it's about the smell, but also the presentation has a lot to do with it. But here is the bottle, or I should say the box. All right, so as you can see, the bees right there. They've changed the look of this thing. Got the sticker right there and got some information right here. And why did they redo this fragrance when the original was so good? I think that's just a given with the Dior Homme line, isn't it? Haven't they redone the fragrance over and over again? That's what I've gathered. But a lot of people have said, why change something that's already good? But I don't know. They just kind of adapt to the times, perhaps. I think a lot of these big conglomerates do a lot of market research and they're finding out certain things and they're adapting the fragrance. So obviously it's reformulation time. But the great thing is this is the first time it's actually gotten a release. The previous two editions or versions, you can never get it at a Dior website here. I'm assuming this is also going to be at the Dior boutiques within like Neiman Marcus and Saks, because my sales associate said it's coming middle of January. So that's why I wasn't looking. But let's smell it, okay? This is what I've been waiting for. This bottle seems a lot smaller. But it is a 75 ml, and it's also pretty full, as you can see. I'm dying to know what this one smells like. I'm smelling a few little things here. Whoa, that's different. Wow. Oh, wow. That's not what I remember Dior Homme Parfum being. I haven't even put my nose on it, but this is smelling so different. Oh my God. What have they done? Oh, God. I'm so glad I have so many backups of these two. I mean, it's settling to something I like. I love iris fragrances, but damn, this is so different. It almost seems like it's not a parfum. It's acting like that. It doesn't give me those luxurious vibes I get with those two editions. Like both of the versions, the 2014 and also the 2020. There's a slight metallic undertone and a bit lavenderish thing happening there as well. It's kind of reminding me of Prada L'Homme. Why? What the heck? This is so disappointing. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna have to spray it on skin. Then I'll do a comparison. I'm gonna tell you if the fragrance is good on its own. Right now, I'm not liking it. And then also how it compares. But let's quickly test this on skin so I can give you my thoughts. Whoa, it's very metallic. Oh my God. I don't like this. I absolutely don't like this. Now, it can grow on me, but first sniff, absolutely not. This is like a complete new DNA for Dior Homme. It doesn't even smell like Dior Homme, the original, not the 2020, the original. It doesn't smell like Dior Homme Intense. So if you guys don't know the story, I had another channel before and that story kind of disappeared with that channel. But I first discovered Dior Homme Intense in 2013. 2013 is when I first got a bottle of Dior Homme Intense at a Marionade store in France, in the south of France. Absolutely, instant love. Then after I started wearing Dior Homme Intense, I heard the Dior Homme Parfum was coming. I was really gaga, excited. The next year end of 2014 that I went back to France, that's when I brought back 3 bottles of Dior Homme Parfum in the original concentration. Big fan of it since then. This is kind of cheap smelling. I'm sorry, wow. Something in here is it the hay? Apparently the website for Dior said there's a hay effect, and the iris and the rhizome of the iris is going to give you a coffee chocolate effect. They've killed it. They've destroyed it. This is not Dior Homme Parfum. This is something completely different with the name Dior Homme Parfum. Ouch. Okay, well, it was good till it lasted, and as I said, I'm glad I have some backups of these two. In fact, I'm going back to France. I'm going to look for more backups, as many as I can. I'll just keep them here. Some of you already accused me of hoarding every single Dior Homme Parfum bottle. Yes, I'm going to even hoard a lot more, so get used to it. But this to me, no, man, absolutely not. Something is weird about it. It almost smells like candy, like those Jordan almonds, that hard candy shell outside of an almond. It's giving me sort of vibes like that. I'm smelling the hard shell of that candy, like the Jordan almond like candy. So it's sweet and it's got these pastel colors, and you crunch into it or you can suck on it and it'll melt in your mouth, and then you can crunch into the almond. It's giving me those kind of vibes. Like smell and taste kind of go hand in hand, and I almost feel like I'm eating like a handful of those Jordan almonds. Am I getting a little bit of coffee and chocolate? Yes, it's faint, but nah, this is not Dior Homme Parfum, guys. This is absolutely not. If you haven't ever smelled the original in 2014 or from 2014 and the second from 2020, once you put your nose on those two, you'll know that this is nothing, absolutely nothing like the original. But if you've never sampled it and this is all you can sample, it's lost its magic. I mean, I'm gaga over these two. It's no more. Like, my number one favorite fragrance of all time is Dior Homme Parfum. But am I going to have to say the original, not the 2024 or 2025 version? I mean, it's going to be no more. There's stock out there. Get it now, because I know people are selling out. Stores are selling out. Even Fragrance Spy had bottles of the 2020. They're completely sold out. And I've linked to it so many times for you guys to buy from there. But it's going to sell out. There's not going to be any stock out there. But this will never replace the original Dior Homme Parfum. Absolutely not. So let's quickly smell test these three fragrances. I'm going to do them in order. First the 2014 edition, then the 2020 edition, and then what am I going to call this? Because it launched in 2024. I guess we're going to have to go with 2025, the 2025 edition. So here we go. Like, as soon as you smell the 2014 edition, it's like super sexy, like smooth, delicious, lipsticky, makeup-y, yum, buttery. I'm not getting that buttery effect from the iris here at all. In fact, there's the sharpness about it. It's reminding me of Prada L'Homme. I like Prada L'Homme. I don't love it. And I don't need another Prada L'Homme in a bottle that says Dior. So let's try the 2020. This one's spraying a little better because that other bottle is a bit on the empty side. Yum. Those two are fantastic, guys. Well, it's not as dark as the other two. Not as dark. It's much brighter. There is that kind of a lavender effect, and I feel like since Prada L'Homme has lavender in addition to the iris, I'm reminded of that fragrance. There's this kind of bright and not so thick and dense quality about a parfum. So it doesn't feel as thick. It seems a lot more airy. And so perhaps it needs to age and macerate and maturate and all those things that everybody's throwing out there nowadays. It hasn't aged or macerated or matured yet. But to me, it's not acting as thick and dense as the previous two versions. I've always thought that the 2020 is slight bit lighter than the 2014, but there could be that whole idea of the maturation thing. But next to those two, this one is so much lighter. So much not like a parfum. It's interesting, it smells a little better on the strip than on my skin. It's quite sharp and metallic on skin. I feel like there's aromatic notes that are in there that have not been credited. Boy, this is a destroyed fragrance. unfortunately. Now, I don't want to go on too much longer about this fragrance, but I'm probably going to make a really long video about this fragrance because it's, again, my favorite fragrance of all time, next to even all the niche fragrances out there. So it deserves it. It's quite strange that I'm actually liking the way Dior Homme Parfum 2025 is smelling off the strip versus off my skin. To me, the 2025 smells cheap and doesn't deserve the name of Parfum. It's more like Dior Homme or a flanker of Dior Homme, but not a Parfum. Because when you compare it next to the others, which I know people are going, well, why would you compare it to that? It's the new version. But we're used to the other one. Now you're calling this one that. Why shouldn't we compare the two, right? And if they're not identical or even close, why bother calling something something when it's not going to replace that other thing? But apparently marketing research, because I know that these larger corporations and brands, LVMH, Dior, they go through a lot of market research. I'm assuming this went through so many different trials, and whose opinions actually decided the launch of this particular fragrance. Who are they asking? The original is amazing, guys. The original is so good. This is just weakened, smells cheaper, smells metallic on me. It's airier. We'll see if it macerates and maturates, though. It's airier, so it doesn't have that denseness that I like in the original Parfum. And it doesn't act like a Parfum. So those are a lot of the differences that I'm experiencing here. And on my skin, it smells metallic. It reminds me a lot of Prada L'Homme. Maybe one of those Armani fragrances as well. What are those ones in the tall bottles? But wow. Okay, I'm extremely disappointed with this, unfortunately. I thought that Dior might take Dior Homme Parfum into a elevated level and add it to the Privé collection and give us something even better than what the original Dior Homme Parfum from 2014 and 2020 was. Now we have several steps down from this fragrance smelling like what it smelled like. Okay, I've said enough and I've complained enough about this. Let's talk about the scent a little more. I think it will find an audience, but for me, it doesn't act as good as something, for example, like Boss Bottled Absolute or Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Elixir. Those act more like these intense, robust experiences. This one is acting more like Prada L'Homme, which I like, but I don't love. And I don't know why I'm getting that vibe from this. But this is absolute disappointment for me. I think it will find an audience, but I think this will fizzle away. It doesn't have that wow factor that the original two versions prior to this new version had. It doesn't. It no longer is going to have to be my favorite fragrance after this. It's going to be ranked really low, unfortunately, because I will not recommend that one. I've said it. I won't recommend it. Yeah, this is a disappointing day, unfortunately. There was so much hype and excitement for this new Dior Homme Parfum 2025 edition, but it falls completely flat. Now, I know there's going to be fans of it. They're going to be disappointed at this video. They're going to hear me say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, this. But have you gotten your nose on these two? Have you? Yeah, I'm comparing it to those two because, as I said, that's what was Dior Homme Parfum before. They can't call it Dior Homme Parfum now because it doesn't smell like it. It also doesn't act like it. So they shouldn't call it that. But I feel like it's a decent flanker of the line, but definitely not worthy of the Parfum title. Absolutely not. I think what's going to happen is all 2020 stock of Dior Homme Parfum is going to disappear. I've been mentioning it. Get yourself a bottle before it completely disappears. If you have some money, you already bought the new version, and you have some extra cash, find that bottle, buy it, and compare it. You'll see what a difference it is. What a difference 5 years makes. What a difference 10 years makes. Is it 5 years? 2024, 2025? Something like that. Yeah, I mean, again, when I first got my nose on Dior Homme Intense in 2013, then Dior Homme Parfum in 2014, favorite fragrance. In fact, Dior Homme Parfum has been my favorite. It's been on lists over, and I've over promoted it because I just love the way it smells. This version, it does seem a lot more mass than the original. Maybe that's what they're going after. They want sales, and LVMH is pushing Francis and making more mass appealing fragrances. So they're taking the original DNA and diluting it down and making something that everybody's going to appeal to. But those of us that are purists, are into originals, are not going to appreciate this one. Again, it really, really acts like Prada L'Homme, and I don't like that about it, because I would never consider Prada L'Homme to be this ultra luxurious, highly concentrated fragrance that I'm obsessed with. This is just going to sit in the back, and I'm not going to do anything about it, unfortunately. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. What a disappointing day. Who knows? Maybe this will grow on me? I don't think so. I just don't like that whole kind of metallic, almost like aromatic lavender, which I keep saying. It smells like lavender is in there. It almost smells a bit like a fougere, like Prada L'Homme, but also Prada Pour Homme in the kind of purple juice. Very powdery. I think it has lavender in there as well. It kind of gives me those kind of vibes, which I like, but it's completely lost its luxurious qualities. Either way, I don't want to go on even further after this, but I'm sure I'll report back and tell you a little bit more about this 2025 edition of Dior Homme Parfum. I'll test it out and see what it's all about, how it lasts. But so far, not impressed. In fact, very disappointed at this launch. And you guys let me know what your thoughts are on this fragrance. Have you tested it? What do you get from it? Have you compared the 2 or 3 versions? Add some comments. Let us all see what you're experiencing. And after watching this video, now that you know this version, the 3rd version of Dior Homme Parfum is selling on the Dior Homme website, or Dior website, I should say, not the Dior Homme website, will you go get it? Add some comments to let us know. But either way, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. I'm really, really sad. This is a sad day, guys. Dior Homme Parfum no more. Cry time.